Christianity is wrong. It is wrong. It is a tool for mind control. It teaches bad lessons and it fundamentally changes how we think naturally into a very unnatural way to process thoughts and feelings and how we think about life and ourselves. So overall, it's just a horrible a horrible religion, and I am going to talk about why. So first things up is it's just scientifically wrong, and I know that a lot of my Christian folks are going to say, "Oh, you got to have faith, you got to believe," but let's just even if you didn't take away the science of it, like the entire Bible is just full of contradictory statements, and the way that they're put together, again, from someone who analyzes a lot of things from the lens of narcissism and a narcissistic lens, everything in the Bible, it is set up for a narcissist's success. It literally puts, like, when you look at the Bible and the lessons that is taught, and I'm going to get into it in a second, but just as a overarching theme, when you are a good person, the Bible, it suppresses you. You will follow all of these rules and you'll never be good enough, and you'll always be in search of trying to be better and meet this standard that is unreachable. Like, you'll never be as good as Jesus. And Jesus was perfect, and we know he was perfect, but you'll never be perfect. And the Bible tells you you'll never be perfect, but it always holds you to this standard that perfection is the goal. So it's like, even that in and of itself is a contradiction. But the thing is that's if you're a good person, you're going to try to do all the things that, a good person would do. But if you're a bad person or an evil person or a narcissist, you are going to take this religion and wield it as a tool for your success. And for a narcissist, their success looks like controlling anybody that they can control. It looks like raising themselves up to a deity-like standard. So narcissists love just feeling, that feeling of grandiosity. They like feeling better than anyone else or everyone around them. And so the Bible literally opens the opportunity. How many narcissistic pastors have we seen, or like cult leaders who come in saying, I was told this by God, or I was ordained by God? Like, it just gives people the opportunity to pretend like they've been ordained by some higher power, and that makes them better than everyone else. That's a narcissist's wet dream. It's just to have a reason to be better than everybody else. And the thing about religion specifically is that when you are a good person, you would never believe that someone would lie about a message that they received from God. And so you assume that anyone else who is saying they received this message from God is telling the truth and is being honest. And so you'll believe this person because you would never do such a crazy lie. But the thing about a narcissist is, anything you think they wouldn't do, oh, they would. It's the same thing people say about the U.S. government. It's like, anything you think the government wouldn't do, oh, they would. And that is because the U.S. government is it's a narcissist. It's the whole thing's a narcissist. But that's a different episode. So that's one of the biggest fundamental problems with the Bible, is because it is so contradictory in nature. People who are good are going to read it and do one thing, and people who are bad are going to read it and do another. And that another is going to take advantage of good people. And that is how you get like the Waco cults and the suicide cults and all that stuff. Those are just narcissists weaponizing the Bible to their advantage and using it to control people and control people's minds and make them do what they want to do. And usually that looks like taking all of their money and all of their labor and all of their time and making them their servants, because they get off on people doing that for them. So that is just one. But scientifically speaking, all right, let's just start at the beginning. Take it from the top, you guys. Adam and Eve. It said that Adam was here first, and that Eve was born from his rib. That is just the first setup for the patriarchy, if I've ever heard it. It's saying that men were here first, and that women were born from man, and that the woman was made from the man's rib, and then she was made to be his helpmate. Like, if you look across why, so just that, we just pause there. Why on earth would that be accurate? Why would God, the master of the universe, as the Bible sees him, create man and then create woman and then make it so that women are the ones who have all the rest of the children forever. It says that humans are created in God's image, but in the Bible, the birthing order for men and women is in reverse, but it never happens like that ever again. Like we see in nature how nature works. We see that the female of every species gives birth to the rest of the species, but yet we see in the Bible that it tells you that the man gave birth to the woman. Is that like just that in and of itself, it really just steers me away, because that doesn't make sense. How did God make everything in his image, but does this one thing this one time differently? Why wouldn't that be reflective of how he makes nature? It just doesn't make sense. And you're just supposed to believe it. All right, that's that. But then another issue I have with just the beginning of the Bible and Adam and Eve is the story of Eve eating the apple off the tree. There are several things there that really just, kind of burn my buttons. Is one, so she eats off the tree after she's told not to. I can't recall if God actually told her not to, or if Adam told her that God told him. But either way, someone told her not to. And she is then duped by this snake in the garden. And he tells her to eat the fruit, and she decides to eat it, and then they're damned forever. So but my thing is, like, there are several things. One, God is supposed to be this all forgiving person or, entity, but he was unable to forgive Eve for this disobedience that she had, even though it was her first time making a mistake in her entire life, right? And it was, even if it was something she was told directly not to do, she was literally told not to do this by one person, and then she was told to do this by another, person or entity or being. She had no other outside influences. She had no other information. She was literally as naive as a child, if you take the Bible as it is, and yet